Yeah, so actually the person who introduced Amway to me was a total stranger. And Kalamazoo is a small town, so I was excited to meet about anybody, you know. And that couple had just gotten married at the time. And the wife's best friend was Shweta.
So Amway's the reason y'all are together now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that. Looking at your, you know, you as a scholar, right? You said you're in engineering, right?
Engineering, yeah.
Yeah, so all that work that you put into engineering, okay, obviously you had to go to school for a significant amount of time. Is that something you'll like step away from eventually? Or like how do you come to a place where you're like, I put in so much work here, but then you shift focus to something else completely?
Yeah, no, I think engineering is something that always excited me and interested me.
Right.
You know, how things work, how we can use technology to make lives better for other people.
Right.
But that's just part of who I am. And I think we're all like that, right? There's, you know, as humans, we like to do different things. We have multiple talents and gifts. And so as much as I loved working on technology and thinking logically, there's always this aspect of maybe public speaking, helping other people solve problems in their lives or tackle challenges, which I quite couldn't do, as I was talking about earlier, by going to work and working on a project that somebody else would tell me what to do. And so, you know, if I ever have to leave engineering 100%, I don't know that I see that happening.
Right. Because it's part of who you are.
It's part of who I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's what I truly love about Amway in general, is because it's not one of those things where it forces you to be here all the time.
Right.
You know, because like you said, in the job market, it's like go to school, get a degree, find a good job, get married, have some kids, work till 40, retire, and you know what I mean? But it's just, it's a pleasure to be able to meet new people, obviously, but you have the ability to just learn different cultures, and you can bring who you are to this community. It's not like a job where you're like, and I'm not saying all jobs are like this, but it's not like a job to where you're forced to, you know, be a specific type of person to bring them success in their market or their industry. Amway, you make it your own. It's a part of who you are.
Yeah.
And depending on the success that you have, or I should say it like this, the success that you have is dependent upon how much you can actually help people be the best version of themselves. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I love it, man. It's dope.
Yeah.
I find that you can actually, at least for me, I found that I'm more effective in business and in communicating with people if I can be more myself.
Right.
So the more authentic I can get, the more effective I am in my business too.
I totally agree with you. And I think what really attracted me earlier on was I knew I wanted to be successful, especially coming from a basketball background and athletics. But you know, when you looked at all the different vehicles that you could go down, a lot of it just seemed to be very unrealistic, in the sense of like, where do I even start? Like, I think for me, seeing this and getting introduced to this was a means of like, wow, like I actually have, there's some hope that I can be successful here, because there were people that were obviously other, you know, college students, there were young professionals. And as I started to get more exposed to this community, I started to see how the parallels of this to sports, you know? So I'm sure for you, Brandon, you know, being, you know, also a athlete and playing, you know, high level college ball. I mean, what was kind of the first thing that kind of attracted you in the beginning?
Great question. Teamwork, you know, being a part of something that's bigger than yourself, it gives you, I'm gonna say it in a, you know, the most simple way possible. I mean, I feel like as people, we get so caught up in our own lives and we get distracted with our own problems, our own situations, and then we can kind of go down this rabbit hole of being really selfish. And what I mean by that is like we get so bogged down in our lives that we miss the beauty of other people. And so being in sports, it was an outlet. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. It was an outlet for me.
1,000%.
But to answer your question, you transitioning from, like you said, high level football at the University of Alabama, going directly into medical device sales, and then, really diving into this business, the relation is the teamwork. It's the competitive spirit. I talk a lot about worthy rivals, meaning like you're on my team, okay, but we're kind of in competition to help each other be better at the same time. And so Amway does the same thing there for me. And then just the structure of an organization, everybody on the same page trying to reach a higher level together. And it's just not like this mundane thing that happens over and over again. You get different experiences, different challenges, different problems that you have to solve. And so I always got to think on your feet too.